Terraria has quite a few bosses. It has a lot, actually. With so many bosses, who has the time to go over them all? Okay, I guess that burden falls to me. I have nothing better to do with my life, so here's a brief description on every boss in the game. The King Slime is a pretty sick boss. What other enemy can say that they have a dude in pajamas stuck inside them? Will either be the very first or very last boss you'll fight, depending on how much Terraria hates you. This gelatinous blob will challenge the player by testing their ability to walk in one direction. The Eye of Cthulhu is the face of Terraria, and even if you haven't played the game, you know about this little guy. This boss isn't too complicated, and you can avoid its attacks by simply avoiding the ouchies. This fight is pretty easy, but who cares? It's still a fun one. The Eater of Worlds is the worm boss. It just likes to burrow through the ground without a care in the world. Maybe dig through some dirt there, gobble up a player here. It's a simple life, devoid of stress and responsibilities. We could all learn a thing or two from the Eater of Worlds. The Brain of Cthulhu fight is what I would call a flashy game of peekaboo. The brain teleports around and tries to make you think that the fight is harder than it actually is, only for it to realize that its illusions won't trick you, because contrary to popular belief, you are indeed not 3 years old, right? The Queen Bee is kind of a jerk. She will go out of her way to inconvenience you whenever she can. We've all had that moment where you're just relaxing in the jungle, not really paying attention and just having a good time, when all of a sudden... But when you're actively searching for a hive, good luck finding one. I mean, what is there to talk about here? Skeletron is simply a big skeleton with an obsession with slapping people. He usually gets overshadowed by his cousin, the Dungeon Guardian, and really isn't seen as the funny skeleton anymore. Has also been the subject of way more Sans jokes than anybody should have to deal with. No wonder he's so cranky all the time. The Wall of Flesh is one of the most creative and fun bosses in the game. I mean, it's a massive abomination that chases you through hell while firing lasers. Sounds like an awesome fight. That being said, the Wall enjoys bragging about how it's the most powerful enemy and that all others should bow down to it, which is nice and all, but that's like being the popular kid in elementary school. Nobody above the age of 10 will be taking you that seriously. The Queen Slime is the new kid on the block, but that doesn't stop her from being one of the tougher enemies in the game. The items she drops may seem useless, but actually have some great utility. The mount is superb for moving fast and keeping your accessory slots clean of movement items. The grappling hook is excellent for dodging attacks, and the slime balloons are great for creeping people out. No, really, when Journey's End first came out, I was playing it with a friend, and by the end of the game, he had thousands of these things. To this day, I'm still afraid for my life. Whenever I think about the Destroyer, I just feel kinda sad. This poor worm has been bullied time and time again, and can't ever seem to catch a break. I swear, some people judge a weapon's viability just based on how fast it can shred the Destroyer. I would like to do something about it, but then I remember why people like cheesing a boss in the first place, and then I stopped feeling so bad. The Twins are a tag team duo that try to take the thing the Eye of Cthulhu has going for it and make it much more obnoxious. Some think these gremlins are the most annoying boss in the game, and I see where they're coming from. The only redeeming quality of this boss is that you can slap a PNG of them on anything to make it look infinitely funnier. This is literally just Skeletron, except he pulled the "not even my final form" move and doubled the number of limbs he has. Prime doesn't really bring anything unique to the table and just sort of steals from other bosses. I guess the Prime laser adds a unique dynamic to the fight as you're trying your hardest to not get spammed out, and if you're playing for the worthy, say goodbye to your builds! Plantera is a very popular boss and is loved by the community, and you know, that's totally fine. Everyone can have their own opinions. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, yeah, this boss kinda sucks. It has to be one of the most repetitive fights in the game, as you can just fly around in circles shooting whatever weapon you have in hand. No, we all know why people like Plantera. It's the... So as many of you know, leading Plantera outside of the jungle will grant this flower the energy of 100 sugar rush children overdosed on caffeine. Honestly, it's almost like a jump scare. One moment you're just walking your dog, and the next moment... Okay, pause for a moment. So, This is the section where I give a description on Gollum. I'm pretty sure we all know what the punchline would have been. So instead of wasting everyone's time by telling the same joke that's been said 1,000 times, I'm gonna let the comment section do my job for me and make fun of Gollum. Yeah, how do you like that? Duke Fishron is a super goofy looking boss. One look at him and, well, how can he not laugh? Somebody at Relogic was hired to make this. I have to thank them for this masterpiece. It really made my day. Screw whoever programmed it though. My small brain can't figure out how this boss works. The Empress of Light is a very flashy boss. Her attacks have some beautiful visuals and enough projectiles to put all other enemies to shame. Some people say that she is their favorite boss because it's a fun fight. You also probably shouldn't look at these people's search history. Alright, I want you to imagine for a second that you just started a game. You're running around and doing well, having a good time. You don't know what to expect really, so you press onward until you come across a boss who just... Yeah, that's how this fight feels. The lunatic cultist is a huge nerd, and all he likes to do is stand in front of some old castle with his pals and try to summon eldritch deities. At least I'm pretty sure. I don't have much to say about the cultist other than his attacks look cool, and I really want to know what he's saying when he goes... I always heard it as, now you will die, which sounds really dumb. Oh, you want a description? Okay then. The Moon Lord. This guy right here? This is the worst boss in the game.